All right, another big name joining us here on the Jacques Talk podcast. Of course, a great LSU Tiger, and continued that in the NFL with a pair of Super Bowl rings, a first-round NFL pick, and of course, a big-time ESPN personality, Anthony Booger McFarland. Anthony, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I got to say, Anthony, that's a little bit of a shocking introduction. Nobody calls me Anthony anymore, man.
I guess I was being way too formal, right? I was just trying to get the complete formal name out. Booger McFarland, of course. And just real quick, I mean, you've talked about this over the years, but for the 2% who don't know, where this nickname come from?
Oh, I got it, man. When I was really, really young, my mother gave me the nickname. I was a bad kid, and I got called a lot of things, and a lot of them I can't repeat. But the one that has been repeatable for all these years has been Booger, man. So that's how I got started.
Okay, you weren't picking your nose a lot. It has nothing to do with that.
No, it's got nothing to do with
that. Well, good deal, man. Well, LSU's playing Alabama this week, and LSU's trending in the right direction, it appears, under a first-year head coach in Brian Kelly. It appears their strength and conditioning program is showing up in the second half of these games as well. How do you feel about LSU taking on Bama this weekend?
Well, man, it's always a big game. I listen to Coach Kelly, and I think I'll kind of echo what he said. You know, you come to LSU to play in games like this. Two ranked teams, two top 10 teams, teams that have gotten here by going different ways. I mean, Alabama's been really, really consistent over the last decade or so under Nick Saban. LSU's kind of been up and down. They were down the last year or so, but now they're kind of climbing their way back out. So it's going to be a tall task and a big test to see if we can compete with the consistency of how Alabama plays, because week in and week out, that's what you're going to get from a Nick Saban team.
Talking to Marcus Spears, one of the 100 LSU guys working at ESPN right now. How many LSU guys are over there right now? It's a ton.
It seems like a lot, man. But I mean, on the football side, it's me, Spears, Ryan Clark on the football side, and I know that there were some guys on baseball that I'm not necessarily familiar with.
Got you. Well, anyway, talking to Marcus Spears, he said that over the years, the difference in this LSU-Alabama rivalry has been BTM, beef that moves. The big guys in the trenches. LSU has not delivered in that regard, and that's a big reason why LSU hired Brian Kelly, because he's got a great history of developing offensive linemen. But do you find that's been the case?
Yeah, I think, when you look at that, plus the quarterback play, yeah. I think if you look at when LSU went down to Tuscaloosa and won, Joe Burrow played at a high level. Tua didn't necessarily play at that high of a level that day. And so I think, you add the quarterback play with the line of scrimmage, that's always, in this conference, that's always going to be who wins and who loses, man. Like, we can talk about the SEC, and now it's high flying with Tennessee and Ole Miss and all these offenses. But you look at Tennessee and Ole Miss, they got really good core group up front that controls the line of scrimmage. And even when they don't necessarily dominate, they're able to hold their own to allow the playmakers to get the ball in space. So Spears is right on, man. Like, this is always going to be a line of scrimmage league. Alabama has recruited at a high level. LSU, not as high of a level. However, I think under Brian Kelly, to your point, they're hoping to get back to that level of recruiting where you get the high-end talent year in and year out, like Will Campbell, like some of the guys that they got out of the transfer portal, some of the guys that are committed to come on next year. I think that's the difference, and BK is known for that.
You mentioned Will Campbell, so let's go there right now. To think that LSU's got two true freshmen starting on the offensive line as tackles, and Will Campbell and Emory Jones. I mean, that's baptism by fire, and they've had their moments, their ice skate moments where they're kind of back on their heels, but they've done a pretty incredible job, I think.
Without a doubt. And everything that you get from them is a bonus going forward, because you don't necessarily expect freshmen to come in and play, let alone start. Not only start, but they've really had some moments where you're like, man, these guys have been dominant. And so Emory Jones, especially, like Will Campbell, the 5-star, I think people expected this, maybe not as quick, but for Emory Jones to come in and these dudes are big, these dudes are athletic. And more importantly, here's the difference when it comes to young players. It's about their mentality. It doesn't necessarily mean that because you're young, you can't play physically, but your mentality to be able to play at 17, 18 years old has to be different. I started the first game of my career at A&M against Leland McElroy, Calvin Collins, and that whole crew. I was 17 years old. Physically, I was ready. Mentally, not so much. So I'm in awe watching Will Campbell and Emory Jones and some of these freshmen come in and play against guys that are 20, 21 years old. And they're going to have their hands full this week because I think Will Anderson, week in and week out, I think he's the best player in America, okay? I think, to me, when you look at a guy that can change the game, and I get it, he's not a quarterback, but I think he's the best player in the country. So I'm really interested and really intrigued in watching Will and Emory against Will Anderson this weekend.
We love Brad Davis, LSU's offensive line coach, but I'm sure he's seeing Will Anderson in his sleep this week. He's probably losing sleep over that guy.
Well, obviously you respect great players, but you don't fear them. And I think it's up to the coaching staff to figure out a game plan. Now, if you're going to say, hey, Will Emory block Will Anderson 60 times on Saturday night, then you know what? That's probably a bit much to ask two freshmen. But that's where coaching comes in. I think BK is a good coach. I don't think they're going to ask those two kids to do that. Now, sometimes they're going to have to do it. You're going to have to man up and kind of hold your water. But there are going to be other times where I think they're going to be able to scheme in with a chip or something, because Alabama's got not just Will Anderson, Dallas Turner. They got to get some guys up front that have some speed to come off the edge that are really going to challenge the Tigers at the tackle position.
Well, that's what Brian Kelly said on Monday. It's not like, okay, we can just shift to one side, and the other guy's pretty good too. I mean, he can hurt us off the edge as well. So that's what they're dealing with.
Well, without a doubt. And again, and if not the guys off the edge, the guys in the middle or the linebackers. Like, this is Alabama. They got 5-star guys everywhere. So you can't just say, let's stop this one guy. It's got to be a total team effort when you play against Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State. Like, this is big boy football. Like, this is what you come to LSU to do. We're not going to find a weak link. You're going to find good players everywhere, and it's going to be good on good. And our good players have to be able to handle their good players. And that's what makes a battle, man. Like, if you think about, like, what made the game of the century years ago in Tuscaloosa so great. Not because the score was, 10-6, 10-9, whatever the score was. What made it so great was that you had good on good everywhere. And I think that's what we're hoping to get back to. I know our numbers were down from a scholarship standpoint. Only had, 39 scholarship guys in the bowl game. And so LSU's not there yet. But I do believe we have enough good players, especially with some of the guys that have been injured coming back. This will be a big challenge, but I can't wait to watch it, though.
Good deal. There's an old saying, facts don't care about your feelings. And unfortunately, since LSU won the game of the century, they've beaten Alabama one time, and it took the greatest team in LSU history to do it. They were very close in 12, 14, and 16. Can Tiger Stadium make a difference? Booger, does it make a difference in the game? In my opinion, it made those games closer than what they should have been. But at the end of the day, the players win the game. But can it impact the game this week?
Well, the Tiger Stadium only enhances what the players do. And here's what I mean by that. Like, the people in the stands, they can only cheer when you do something good. They can only, get loud when you're playing well. And, and I get it. And I played in Tiger Stadium, and I think it's the greatest home field advantage in college sports, especially when the team is going well. Like, fans aren't dummies now. They're not going to cheer when you're getting beat 42-0. So I think Tiger Stadium is great, but LSU got to come out and give the fans something to cheer for, man. And it only enhances what you do. It's kind of like a good piece of catfish, like you can get the best piece of catfish out of the pond, and you can skin it and fillet it. But if you don't put the right seasoning on it, like, the catfish will taste good, but the right seasoning just adds a little bit. Just adds a little bit of something on top. And that's what the players got to be. We got to go out and you got to give these fans just something enough when they sprinkle it on top that it just adds that little bit of flavor to it.
I love it. I chatted with Roman Harper this week. He said Tiger Stadium's loud. It's not the loudest. Tennessee's the loudest. He said it's ugly too. Big hunk of junk, Tiger Stadium. Not he had a few things.
I wouldn't expect Roman to say anything nice about Tiger Stadium, nor would I expect anybody from Tennessee. I think you got to get outside the footprint as far as the players from their respective schools. And then you ask people who are kind of unbiased a little bit about Tiger Stadium. Like, it's good, but again, it's been really good because LSU's had a lot of good players that play in that stadium. You think about the greatest moments in Tiger Stadium history, I'll show you a team that was on the field doing good things. And if that team is not doing good things, then again, it's just concrete and bricks, man. That's all it is.
Well, when you guys beat Florida in 1997, that place was on 11 that night. And it continued to be on 11 because Herb Tyler was running for big plays on the option because guy in the secondary there that intercepted the two passes.
Cedric Donaldson.
Cedric Donaldson, yes. Man, when Cedric Donaldson early in the game, Booger intercepted that pass and started weaving, it literally looks like the stadium is people are just, shaking like there's an earthquake going. So those are the kind of moments you're hoping to get this weekend.
Yeah, those are the magical moments, man. And I think that's what college football is about, though, Jock, man. Like, it's about the tradition. Like, no NFL stadium outside of maybe Green Bay, Kansas City, Buffalo. Other than that, you don't get those type of moments that we get in college football. Like where when Tennessee played Alabama and Rocky Top went crazy, and that was 3:30 in the afternoon. Like, you don't get that feeling in the NFL. And that's why college football is special. And that's why fans show up every Saturday, man, when there's a big game, because you want to be able to say, I was there at Tiger Stadium, October 1997, when the goalpost came down. You want to say, I was there at Neyland Stadium when the kick got tipped but still went through the goalpost and we beat Alabama. Like, you want to be able to say that in those moments. And I think that's the intrigue we look forward to every Saturday all around the country, man.
Well, I'm glad you said it, and I don't want you to bite the hand that feeds you, Booger McFarland, because you're on the NFL side now. But it's hard for me to say I'm looking forward to an NFL game more than I was looking forward to Texas playing Alabama or Alabama playing Tennessee or this weekend. I mean, you've got a doubleheader in which Tennessee is going to Georgia and LSU's hosting Alabama. I mean, that 8-9 hours of football or whatever it's going to be is just going to be, you hope, is going to be fantastic. The college campuses, the bands, the student section, all those things just add a little something extra, and the emotion of the kids, obviously.
That's what it's all about, man. That's why you go to these schools, man. And that's why it's always intriguing to me for 17 to 21-year-old kids, man, to because I remember it being in those moments. I remember what it was like in 97, man, when we left the hotel in Gonzales, Louisiana, man, headed to the stadium. I remember what it was like, man. Like those are moments at the time you don't realize how big they are because you've been playing football and it's just like it's the next game. It's a big game, but you don't realize kind of the piece of history that you're creating. My hopes is that these kids on both teams on Saturday night, they realize it's a special moment, man. Like, you get the opportunity to play in a ranked versus ranked game, regardless of how you feel about the stadium or whatever. All those things add together. You're hoping they create a moment that these kids will look back on 15, 20 years later and say, man, I regardless of what the outcome is, I was a part of that. And that's when it becomes special, man. Like, me and Todd McClure talk about this all the time, Kevin Falk. Like, the moments we remember, obviously Florida. You remember the Georgia game when Georgia came to Tiger Stadium and it was 3-4 in the country that night. Like games like that, man. Like, that's why we play this sport, man. Nobody remembers the 42-3 games. Like, to be honest with you, you don't really remember those. You remember the games where there's something on the line because it matters. It means something. And hopefully Saturday night will be the same.
Yeah, that Georgia thing, that dang Quincy Carter, huh? Y'all gave him a nice draft pick that year because of that game, I think.
Yeah, Quincy, man. I mean, we just couldn't get him off the field, man.
But to your point, though, in the pro game, you never hear, well, this team lost last week, so they were down this week. Or somebody gave a pregame speech and fired up the team. So the emotion of the college game is just that much different, right? I mean, in the pros, you're going to work, yeah, right? It's your job.
In the pros, I'm playing for money and I'm playing for pride. In college football, I'm playing for my family and I'm playing for my university. There's a difference. Now, I get NIL and all this stuff has changed that a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's a job in pro football.
Yeah.
College football, man, it means a lot, man, because of the emotion, of the tradition, of the pageantry of college football. I'm going to school with the people that are actually at the game. So my peers, people that are my classmates are still watching me at the games. It's just a little bit more corporate, man, when you get to pro football.
Yeah, and you're walking around on campus going to class during the week. You're seeing those fellow students and stuff.
Yeah.
You want to do well. All right, a couple more things with you, a few more things. The two coaches in the game. Let's talk about Brian Kelly first and what's happening there with him. Obviously, this is the most accomplished coach LSU's ever hired. Nick Saban was not Nick Saban yet when LSU hired him. You went through a transition. You were not part of the 6 losing seasons before Jerry DiNardo arrived, but you were part of some of that discomfort and kind of getting on board with this new guy. And look, I know different players feel differently about Jerry DiNardo, but the bottom line is he inherited a program that had 6 straight losing seasons. You have a winning season your first year, and then your second year, you win 10 games in a time when you only played 11 in the regular season. So tell me about maybe that transition with him and what is it like when a coach takes over a program that's been losing?
Well, the first thing he's got to come in and is change the attitude, because there's a reason. There's several reasons that you lose, but losing kind of creates a culture or an attitude that is not conducive to winning. I'll put it that way. And so you got to come in, you got to change the culture, you got to change the attitude, you got to change the vibe. Okay. Because once I change the vibe, now everybody can start to think the same way. Then I got to get everybody going the same way. I got to get everybody thinking and going the same way. And then I think the last part is, once you get on the field, now the football part comes easy, because as a football player, here's what I want. I want to know that my coach is doing everything he can do to make me better. And if you're doing and coaching me to make me better, then I'm going to buy into what you're talking about. So the football part is actually the easy part. It's the culture, the attitude, the mental toughness, all those things created off the field, in the weight room. And then once we get on the field, if what you're telling me is making me better, I'm buying in. Like, that part's easy. Yeah. That's the easy part. And so I think BK has done an outstanding job. I think if you ask even the most staunch LSU supporter, if they would have taken 6-2 right now heading into Alabama, I think everybody would have probably taken it. Doesn't mean that they're not, doesn't mean they're satisfied, because obviously you look at the Florida State game, probably should have won that one. Tennessee game, I think Tennessee's in a different level this year. We'll see. But I think he's done a really good job, considering LSU had 39 scholarship players against Kansas State. Now look where they are competing. Dismantle Ole Miss, went to Florida, beat Florida, got Mississippi. It's like, I can go on and on at where LSU is right now. But I think Brian Kelly's done an outstanding job. It's a good start, but by no means is it where it needs to be or where it should be, year 2, year 3.
Booger, is this the challenge? Fans say, I want a disciplined team. I want to win and this and that. But in today's social media atmosphere, where a player can get his feelings hurt at practice and go online and stuff like that, they're not, I don't want to start sounding like the old guy. They don't make them like they used to, but I'm sure you guys took some stuff in practice back then that players today would not take and complain about, hit the transfer portal or whatnot. Is that an accurate thought, or what do you think?
Yeah, times have changed, man. Like, most players are in their feelings now, and I'm only as loyal as my options. And now I got more options, and so I think the transfer portal has made it tougher. But again, I think most of these kids were raised the right way, that there's no easy way out. I'm not just going to take my ball and run home and pout and cry if I don't play. I think most parents wouldn't allow it. Most kids aren't raised that way. Now, there's some. And so you're going to have to deal with it every year. That's why the transfer portal is full. But those are the type of kids that you got to recruit as far as during the recruiting process. Like, that's where the evaluation of the kid and the environment and what kind of kid you're recruiting, all those things make a difference. So, yeah, it's more difficult to do it now. There's no doubt. However, even if I were being recruited now with the NIL, transfer portal, and all that good stuff, like, I'm kind of loyal, man. Like, I'm a realist. So if I'm not playing, I'm going to ask myself, well, why am I not playing? Is the guy in front of me just better? Or are there 5 guys in front of me that's better? And if that's the case, then I'm saying, you know what, I may never play. So then I may have to move. So I think it's about being honest, being a realist. And I think that's where the families become really, really involved in that. And that's part of recruiting, man. Like, recruiting is not just looking at the stars and saying, hey, I want that guy and that guy. Recruiting is understanding the type of player and the type of person you're recruiting.
Good deal. Great stuff. Roman Harper describes LSU and Nick Saban as LSU was the guy that got to date Beyonce in high school. and she moved on and always thought about what could have been as, she went on to big things at Alabama in this case. What is Nick Saban's legacy at this point in terms of what he gave LSU, what he's prevented LSU from accomplishing? He won one championship at LSU. He set Les Miles up pretty good for a second, but he also prevented Les Miles from at least a couple more. And at 71 appears to still have plenty of gas in the tank.
I think his legacy, he's the greatest college football coach that we've ever seen. That's his legacy. Coaches, I can't think of but maybe one or two coaches that went to one school and stayed there forever. So the idea that a coach was going to stay there for like one school forever. I mean, Nick has been in Michigan State. He's been at LSU. He's been in the Dolphins. Like, he's a typical coach. So I look at his legacy really simple, man. He is the greatest college football coach ever. Life is about time and circumstance, man. And the time and circumstance for him led him to the Miami Dolphins. That led him to Alabama. He's been there a while. So I don't look at it as, he was the guy or he's Beyonce and we dated him during high school. It's about time and circumstance in life and about where he was at that point and about his challenges and the thing that he wanted to do. He wanted to try the NFL. So he tried it. I'm not going to blame Nick Saban for that. I think the fascination with Louisiana fans and LSU people with Nick Saban, it's always amazed me because they act as if he doesn't go to Miami, he'd still be at LSU for all these years. There's no guarantee of that. There are no guarantees. So I don't look at it as if we missed out. I just looked at it as he came to LSU. He's one of three coaches that has won a national championship at LSU, or one of the last three coaches to win a national championship at LSU. So is Les Miles. So is Ed Orgeron. Guess what? Hopefully Brian Kelly will be the fourth. And that's kind of how it goes, man. Like, you don't sign up to coach forever. You sign up to coach for however long you're successful or however long you're motivated to coach. And I look at Nick, and Nick's reached an age now where I don't think that he's going to move as much. But yeah, Nick's great, man. Nick's phenomenal. I think his record speaks for itself.
I should have said this to you. Let me finish here. Mason Smith got hurt in the preseason. It's too bad he's not playing right now, because certainly I'd like to be talking about, what kind of career he would have. But what are your thoughts on him, and then maybe some of the other LSU defensive guys like Perkins, the freshman linebacker, or Ojulari off the edge? Have you had a chance to watch or have any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, man, I've watched them all, man. You look at Bakersfield, a linebacker. You look at Perkins. You look at Ojulari. Wingo, like some of the guys that are playing and creating plays, and to me, playing football is technique and fundamentals. Like, that allows your true athletic ability to show. And these guys are getting coached up. I love how they play. I love how aggressive they are. I think Matt House has done an outstanding job. If you look at LSU's defense, what they did in the second half against Auburn, what they did in the second half against Florida, what they did in the second half against Ole Miss, the adjustments and what they do at halftime, the strength and conditioning comes into play. So, like, I like where we are and what we're doing. But again, I've seen LSU play at a higher level, and I expect us to get to that level at some point defensively. And the game has changed a little bit. Obviously, the game is more spread out. And so you got to have guys like Harold Perkins and Ojulari, guys that can run, that can play in space, guys that can do things at a high level in space. And so, yeah, I've been impressed, and I've let those guys know, my own way, how impressed I've been, how they play. And yeah, job's not done. We're only 8 games in, man. We got 4 more.
All right. Will you be watching the game? Where will you be on Saturday night?
I'm always watching, man. I watch LSU. I'll be in the studio. I got to work, so I do college football on Saturdays. I'm on ABC all day Saturday, so I'll be doing pre and post game for several games, but I'll be watching.
All right. Booger, not Anthony. Booger McFarland. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime, Jock. Take it easy, buddy.